Alright everyone, Facebook is pretending to care about user privacy, and AG Barr, that's William Barr, our Attorney General, the esteemed man himself, pretending that he doesn't hate the Fourth Amendment with regards to Facebook planning end-to-end encryption. It's very funny to hear Zuckerberg and privacy in the same sentence, unless the sentence is Zuckerberg hates your fucking privacy, because that's clearly what's been done. Facebook has been selling user data packaged up over and over to different companies and firms around the world for a very long time. That's how they've made money. They're not making money by ad clicks. Most people, if they're sane, they use ad blocking software anyway. By the way, sometimes people are like, oh, you saw an ad for the Mormon Tabernacle Choir on something. Why don't you have ad blocker? And I don't mean just ad block plus. If you're not using a browser that also supports NoScript at the very least, if not other extensions as well, and I think at this point you're insane. The ad-driven internet has already died. That's not how Facebook makes money. There's no way they make money enough off of ad revenue or people paying $10 so that their shitty post reaches more shitty people. No, they make money because they bundle user data into chunks, according to categorization systems that they've developed with their algorithms. They then sell it to a company under contract that company doesn't have. It's not proprietary. The company's just using the data. Facebook can sell the same chunk of data 100 different times, making enormous amounts of money. They can sell it cheap, and so they can undercut everyone because everyone had a Facebook account and gave Zuckerberg all their data. Now, finally, years later, Zuckerberg has realized, one way to stop the hemorrhaging of users off our site, make it look like we give a fucking shit about people's privacy. So, I know how it's literally easier for Facebook to grandstand against the U.S. government and an unlawful request by AG Barr at this point. It's easier and cheaper for them to do that than it is for them to stand up to China. That's what we really should be worried about. And then AG Barr, he has no legitimate reason to make the claims that he's making. He said, well, if end-to-end encryption occurs on Facebook messages, pretty soon people will use Facebook to sell slaves and drugs. I don't think so. You're suggesting that Facebook magically becomes the Silk Road because the government is unable to read the messages. But Facebook is so draconian with regards to user content already, I can't imagine that they're not going to hyper-moderate everything anyway. The idea that Zuckerberg has magically become a libertarian in the last few months on the issue of the First and Fourth is crazy. He's just a jaded corporatist sellout. He has been since day one. His entire end goal was always to get enough user data to be able to turn it into a commodity. He's a corrupt asshole. That's what Zuckerberg is. For him to suddenly look good, by comparison to some people we see within politics, he dusted up with Warren less than a week ago. One of the main Democrats at this point pretends to be a progressive, which is bullshit. And now with William Barr, appointed by none other than fucking Donald Trump, for him to be constantly getting into these fights, I think he's trying to get into the news and make more money, and he's winning. They're giving Zuckerberg an easy victory, and these same people will pretend like they don't take his money anyway. Like, the government would love all of the user data that Facebook has. The fact that they apply a little tiny bit of protection with regards to the U.S. government and are less concerned about selling it to Red China should probably piss people off. It should piss them off at Facebook for selling the user data and the U.S. government for being so unscrupulous and so unconcerned with privacy and data protection that Facebook would literally rather give your data to some random buttfuck corporation in Vietnam because they're more likely to treat it well. That should really be people's concern, but of course, it's not. Their main concern will be falling into the same stupid partisan camps as always. So if they're a never-Trumper, they probably look at it and they say, well, Zuckerberg is a great man, which of course is untrue. And if they're a Trump fan, they say, well, William Barr is such a great man, Zuckerberg sucks. Well, the latter part's true, but the former part's definitely not. AG Barr just happens to be the acting attorney general. The fact that Trump appointed him doesn't magically make him a good person. The fact that he happens to be useful to Trump doesn't mean that on this issue he's right, because he's clearly not. The government does not need encryption-breaking software for every fucking thing under the sun. It's not necessary. By the way, the idea that having that encryption blocks the government from ever possibly accessing it is wrong anyway. The government can hire hackers, private individuals, to get this data. It just takes them longer. Well, fuck it. It should take them a long time. They should have to pay a lot of money. They should have to pay some dude with a wet cough and one arm $5,000 to get into that iPhone. Yes, they should. Absolutely, they should. It's dubious and slimy and grimy, and it forces the government to publicly acknowledge, Gesundheit, publicly acknowledge working with grimy, slimy individuals. Good, because that's how government should be seen. It shouldn't be seen as slicked back suit wearing dudes. It should be, you should have the veil pulled back and see them snorting coke and hanging out with goofballs and criminals. That's really what government's like. Same goes for Zuckerberg. Same goes for big tech. They've run billion-dollar branding and propaganda to convince people that they're different from every other for-profit corporate entity in the entire world's history. That's wrong, but they've successfully convinced people of it. That's about all. Peace out.